Hello and welcome to On the Ledge. I am your ever-planty host, Jane Perrone, and this week I'm taking you to the Chelsea Flower Show. La-dee-da. We'll be hearing from the makers of 4 of the Houseplant Studios at the Chelsea Flower Show, including the winner of the Best Houseplant Studio. And, spoiler alert, it's full of cacti and succulents. Was I in heaven? Yes, I blooming well was. Thanks to my new Patreon members, Jennifer became a legend, and Peaches, Phil, Corey, Sheila and Jess became free members. And that means they can have access to the post I've nearly finished, which is going up shortly on Patreon, which is my guide to the top places in London to head if you're interested in gardens. So there's some classic ones in there like Kew Gardens, but also some really under the radar picks. So whether you're coming to the UK from another country or maybe planning a day trip to the capital, this is a really useful guide for you to have a look at. So just join as a free member to get access to that and all my other free planty posts, or become a paid member for anything from $1 or £1 a month up. There's so much content there and I'd love you to join me. So check it out at patreon.com/ontheledge. The Chelsea Flower Show takes place in mid-May every single year and has done so for the last 100 years. So you can imagine this show is, should I say, a dyed-in-the-wool horticultural event, an event in the horticultural calendar here in the UK. Only in recent years, with the surge of interest in houseplants, has there been a special feature for houseplants, and that's the Houseplant Studios. So if you've not come across this before, each designer gets a garden building from a company called Morven Garden Buildings and gets to fill it and surround it with plants. And if you've been listening for a while, you probably will remember my previous episodes from the show where I've interviewed people about their houseplant studios. And you'll know that I've said in the past that this has been a bit of an uneven category, not really surprising with a new innovation to the show. And I've said in the past that I thought some of the studios were a little bit unambitious, but this year I think things really changed. There was some definite ambition on display, as we'll see. It wasn't just a case of plonking some plants in pots in a shed. It was so much more than that, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you in this episode. The one thing that remains a little bit problematic for me with the Houseplant Studios is, well, I guess it's my favourite topic. When am I going to stop banging on about this? Absolutely never. It's the topic of light. So these houseplant studios generally have solid roofs, and inside they're often really quite dark. Now, I didn't record with the Petersham Nurseries entry, but when I went into their houseplant studio, I was thinking to myself, gosh, if I had a light meter, it would barely be registering on that light meter, and yet inside were lots of tropical plants like Monstera and so on. So it made me question whether that was a successful exhibit, because people coming to visit who may not know about houseplants may think, oh, right, yes, it's fine to have my Swiss cheese plant in the darkest corner of my room because they're doing it here at Chelsea. That's obviously not the case. And in this day and age of brilliant grow lights, I'm somewhat surprised that more of these exhibits don't make better use of grow lights. And while I give this criticism, I totally appreciate that it's still an evolving art and science of producing these houseplant studios. And who am I to say? Because obviously I haven't done it myself. Maybe one of these days that will be the next challenge, to design my own houseplant studio. But for now, from my perspective, that's my view, is more light, please. for those who are putting houseplants in dark corners, I just think that sends the wrong message. However, there was so much to love in the Houseplant Studios, and the 4 that I've talked to I think are truly fascinating. I must point out that I didn't interview a podcast regular, James Whiting, about his houseplant studio, which was called Aphrodite's Hothouse. Now, this was a new thing for Chelsea, in that it was raunchy, it was sexy, it was sponsored by a company called Love Honey, who make, shall we say, they call themselves the UK's leading sexual wellness brand. And this was a houseplant studio that really took the sponsor's message and just said, yes, ramp it up to 11, please, which I absolutely loved. I just didn't get a chance to chat to James because he was so busy. The style was so over the top that for me, the plants really took second place, but I loved the overall vibe, and I'm going to be putting some of those shots that I took in that houseplant studio on my socials, and I'll put them in the show notes with some details about Aphrodite's hothouse. Probably not child friendly, I would say, that particular houseplant studio. And I always love what Plants by There, aka James Whiting, does, because he always brings something new and ambitious to the table, which is really what I am looking for when it comes to these houseplant studios. So let's get on with the first interview. Do go and have a look at the show notes at janeperrone.com while you're listening to have a look at images of all the gardens from this week's show. Let's enter the hanging gardens of Botanica.
Hello, I'm Alice from Botanica Studio in Bath, and this is our houseplant studio space with Malvern buildings called the Hanging Gardens of Botanica. They're these irrigated water gardens we've created. We've produced these towers using Berg's pots from Berg Pottery in Denmark, and we've suspended them up a metal pole, and we've run water at the centre of that column, and then we have it dripping down. So what you can hear is the cascading rainwater that are watering our irrigated water gardens, essentially. And we filled them full of plants that, we sell at the shop and we absolutely adore. We've very specifically gone with 8 genera that we love. Let's see if I can remember them all.
This is a test now.
I'm going to do it.
Can I just say, before you go on,
sorry,
though, can I just say, technically, this seems very hard, what you've done here. Like, because you've not just gone, let's have some nice pretty plants in a pot. You've gone, no, we're going to have running water cascading down poles with lighting. I mean, what was the inspiration for this?
It was several things. It was the pots themselves. We always think these pots are very artistic, and when they just sit very flat on the floor, you can't see the beautiful shape. So it was initially that. Second of all, it's one of the key things we say every day to our customers is about the use of rainwater. We cannot wax lyrical about it enough. So that became a key part of it was sort of a blending of ideas. We also love the Grecian shapes of the pots, and so it was a bit. My aspiration was to bring something quite artistic, if I'm honest. We wanted to be a bit more artful in what we produced. So it was a mixture of creating a sculpture, water gardens, and mixing in that message of rainwater.
Give me the rainwater chat. I call it the Dom Perignon of houseplants. Why do we love rainwater so much?
Because it is mineral and chlorine free. We're all from very hard water areas, Bath specifically where we are from, London as well. It's a really chalky waters, and your plants can't process that water. They are tropical. They're from very naturalistic environments where they're used to the freshest, bestest water, the Dom Perignon water. So you need to emulate those environments. I think people would think, oh, my plant dies and put enough light. Well, your plant also, unfortunately, they don't make it if you're giving them really chalky water. It sits around their roots, it slows down their growth, and they process it within their leaves, and it gives them those brown edges that people don't find attractive. And it's just the plant needing a little bit of help. So by giving it the best water you can, then you're setting yourself up with success with houseplants. And especially these soft leafed environments like the anthuriums and the alocasias, they need that especially.
So tell me about these 8 genera that you've got in here. You've mentioned a couple of them already.
Yes, yeah.
Lots of lovely lush leaves.
They're beautiful. It's because of the breadth of what the leaf shapes you can get. So we've got alocasia, anthurium, philodendron, monstera, rhaphidophora. We've put it in its own selection. We've wanted the minimas. We've wanted the dragon tails in here. Epipremnums, platyphytums, and we've got nephelepsis as well. So the Boston ferns, the staghorn ferns, just heart-leafed plants. Things that you would see naturalized to a very tropical environment. We knew that one of the judges was an ex-Q lady, so we knew that this would probably be quite, hopefully of interest to her. And within those genera, we try to show off the breadth of what you can get. So we want some variegated things. These absolutely beautiful pink princesses that we've got here, the marbled variety. Obviously, you've got Burley-Marksy Flame Monstera. We've got caramel marble in here, the Calnerbiums and the Calvariums, the Anthuriums. We've just gone for to show off what's capable in that genre. Not genre, genera.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is quite ambitious, but I'm sure that somebody could bring elements of this to their own 100%. Collection. Mm-hmm. How could you implement something of this idea, but in a regular setting? You think?
Absolutely. I think they are. So to make sure these plants don't drown, we put them all in semi-hydro. Mm-hmm. So that was weeks and weeks. Particularly, that is what took a lot of the time. These towers were wonderfully engineered by my brother, who is forever an inspiration and absolutely sick of what I drag him into. But he created, the pump is at the bottom and it sends it through the center and they drip down. So there's quite a splash zone, don't get me wrong, but you do have that. You could emulate this at home particularly in like a bathroom, it would be absolutely beautiful. And so they are all, the longevity, they're in semi-hydro. So I think in your own environment, just having a flat dish and putting them all in semi-hydro, not necessarily the water, but you can group these plants together. They would naturally be together. So that would be the idea. So you could start off with that. They could just be hanging. That would be fantastic. You could just take it down and soak it whenever it needed a good drink. But it isn't that you have to have them be 6 foot. You could set up a water pump with a big dish at the bottom and then put the 2 dishes above and have it on a table or, as I said, probably maybe in a conservatory, something like that. So, there are methods of creating this at home. Maybe you would have to know a little bit about water pumps, but, nothing...
nothing that our listeners can do. I have to say, it's not these days. The equipment is there for anyone to do wonderful things. And how have you found the process of putting this together? Has it any unexpected surprises along the way?
Many prototypes, many prototypes. Okay. A lot of it's about water tension. So we just thought at the bottom you would fill it with 1 bowl of water. It would take it up and it would drop it down. The hydro pebbles and the semi-hydro have absorbed so much water that this is, I would say, honestly, about 40 litres per tower. We've got 12 of them. So we're filling them up 3 times a day. And so that was a big learning curve, was this. We created one in our shop. So we watched it over a few days and the plants are still thriving in it. And it's been about 3 months. So we've tested the longevity for sure. But I think the water tension and getting them to pour somewhat evenly, for just aesthetics alone has been a bit of a learning curve. But we had enough time and we did enough versions that we learned this in order to pull it off for today.
We've got a bit of a crunchy underfoot. Shell on Earth.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
We're big fans of Shell on Earth. We think it's a really inspirational story. Carly runs a fantastic company in Wales. These are a byproduct of the whelk industry. So she is from a whelk fishing family, and then she saw that they were going to waste, and now she uses them for the horticultural business. And we've always sold them because they are a fantastic solution for drainage and for top dressing, and most importantly for fungus gnats. When anyone comes into the shop, we say, cutting off the life cycle of fungus gnats is very important, and by laying Shell on Earth, it prevents them from hatching out, and it also prevents them from burrowing in and therefore laying eggs in your plants. So Shell on Earth have been fantastic to us for many years, and we wanted this to be a sensory experience. There is water, there is noise, there is smell, there is texture. So we that add another element into it. So it was a very natural decision to use Shell on Earth. Of course, we realise it now walks its way out. So we're constantly sweeping, but it's all part.
It's busy in the next few days, but it looks great against the moss.
Contrast.
It's really nice. It's
really enjoying that.
I also discovered that Alice is a Patreon subscriber, so thank you, Alice, for your support. Next up, it's Conservatory Archives and the winners of the Best Houseplant Studio with an ode to endurance.
So I'm Natalia Drezek. And I'm Lily Laughlin. We're from Conservatory Archives. Our exhibit, An Ode to Endurance, is all about kind of the strange forms of cacti and succulents. And how they kind of formed due to the harsh environments that they originate from. And we're kind of trying to bring that in to like the scope of like the modern houseplant collections. So I feel like a lot of people are still like a little bit wary of having cacti and succulents. They're not like super familiar with them. So we're like inside, we're trying to create this like really cozy environment where people can associate cacti and succulents with like having them in their like living rooms. A lot of people have been coming and like being like, oh my god, what is that? I've never seen this before. So we're trying to like familiarize people with cacti and succulents, and also maybe like have them consider like the origins of cacti. We get a lot of people like in the shops like saying they water their cacti like every day, or they put them in.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just think, oh Lord.
There's a big misconception that cacti and succulents can be in very dark spaces.
Yeah, with no natural light.
We have no idea where it started, and we always do try and go, maybe that's slightly too wrong, that information. Let's talk you through.
I mean, I'm sure you've been sent and seen so many photos of that sad looking plant in the corner. You just think, light, give it light.
Yes,
so often, so frustrating. But this is a really beautiful display, and I'm sure it's going to convince a lot of people to grow. I mean, like I'm in my home here. I could just be sitting here all day because it's absolutely gorgeous. Just walk us through what you've got going on here and how you've designed around this garden building which we're looking at here, which is a lovely, would we call this terracotta? Is that the wrong word?
Yeah, ish. We were going for that kind of terracotta look.
It's a sort of
to match the pot.
Terracotta. Yeah.
I think the shade was like ointment pink or something, which sounds really strange, but it goes so well with the green like of the trees behind, and then also with like the silvery bluey green shades of the plants. But the design itself, like we really wanted to have a really open space. So we have this really glass front, and then we asked for a pitch roof. So it could be a little bit taller on the inside, just because we wanted some plants like hanging from the ceiling on the inside. The outside is like a conceptual recreation of an arid landscape. Which we want people to like think about where the plants originate from. So they really think about like, oh, these plants are grown in like very dry conditions and like really sunny areas of the world. To just kind of think about the care of cacti and succulents again, because there are some misconceptions about how people should care for them. And yeah, inside is quite a light and airy open space to maybe inspire people to think about how they can put these plants into their own homes.
What's the question? Apart from how often do I water my cactus, what do you get people coming in and asking? What are people getting passionate about? Any particular plants that have surprised you that are popular?
Now, the most popular plant in our collection are the brachyheton.
Yeah,
they are the new sort of trendy. We get a lot of magazines and asking for them. They want that sort of sparse tropical. They don't want tropical. They want a sort of sparse, almost outdoor look within their homes. So yeah, definitely the brachychaeton and the one that we're constantly being asked about these days. Yes,
Interesting.
Definitely, like we felt like over the years that people have moved away from wanting that like lush jungle feel in their homes, and they really like always gravitate towards these like really slender forms with like contorting trunks and like really delicate foliage. So the brachychaeton like is really like one of our most popular plants at the moment. They are deciduous, so they might lose their leaves in the winter.
Right, okay.
They don't always, we found over the years, like if you have a very bright space and it's quite warm over the winter, they won't, but they will still lose all of their leaves in spring when the new growth is coming through. So you can kind of see on that one there, the really tiny leaves, those are the new leaves that have just started growing like a couple of weeks ago. And the ones that were there before, they just shed.
I see. Well, it's a really beautiful display. I want to just come around here just so I can peek through the door, because we have inside a wonderful, I guess that's kind of a haberdasher's, would you call it a haberdasher's cabinet or something, a glass cabinet with plants inside. I love the way you've designed this, and the pots are, you always do good pots.
Thank you so much.
I do know, you've got very good pot game. What is the top tips for choosing a pot for a characterful cactus or succulent?
I mean, we always love like a really nice textured aged terracotta pot.
Yeah, it brings out the green or the blueness of the cacti, we always find.
We love like kind of aged, like rougher, like sort of textures. All of our pots are in there. Most of them are like secondhand. So like from like charity shops or like flea markets, our furniture as well. Something that has like already like a little bit of history to it. So that's why we love the pots to have a similar kind of vibe. And they really like kind of mirror how a lot of these larger specimen plants have a lot of history behind them. They grow so slowly, so they have like quite a long life. So the pots really kind of reflect that.
Absolutely. And I love just fossicking around in a junk shop looking for a cool pot.
Always.
Just not the most fun thing to do. And also, you know, generally you're going to find something that nobody else has, which is
exactly.
Especially if you do get a really rare cacti, you want to put it in something that you know you'll love forever. The pot wise. So the more interesting and funky.
Exactly. And I'm being drawn in though. I just have to go in and talk about this. I mean, this is illustrating my taste in cacti and succulents. You've got this incredible Euphorbia, is it Lomelii?
Yes.
Cristate form. I mean, I love the cristate forms, the strange mutations. You've also got a Euphorbia, I can't quite read that because I haven't got my glasses on.
Aluardii.
Aluardii. I mean, that just looks like a child's drawing of a plant.
Yes.
You've got a toddler to draw a plant. That was kind of what they draw. These are just stunning. These euphorbias are just amazing. So much texture and interest.
Yes.
It's always amazing with euphorbias because obviously everyone associates them with just the classic English outside plant that you get in every garden, and then they come in and you're like, oh, these cacti are euphorbias, and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. And they'll be like, oh, these are also euphorbias, and it's like, oh wow, there's a whole world that you could just get into just collecting them. I
agree. It's a really diverse genus, and there are some real oddities in there, and I will put some pictures in the show notes of some of these. But you've got lots of things here. Obviously some of these bigger, more venerable cacti are going to be not a cheap purchase, but you know, you have got things here which, you know, you can are not very expensive to buy, and you could do an amazing display. I mean, I love the is it Kleine, I've forgotten what it's called, the pickle plant up there.
Yes, it is. The Senecio.
The Senecio Kleiniformis, is it? I mean, I've got this idea that I want to make a forest of those. I could have a big a really cool forest of those. That's one of my sort of plant daydreams. But there's so much inspiration here, and so many interesting displays. Is there anything else you want to highlight here? I imagine you're going to get some people stroking this monkey tail cactus.
Oh yes.
Right? That's going to be a big thing as people coming through these doors. I don't know if that's allowed, but it's very tactile.
Yeah, we have been warning a few people. But yeah, they're quite soft like this way.
They
but
are
obviously,
soft, yeah. Have you seen those videos of people setting these on fire?
Oh no, I've not.
No, I've not.
Apparently, apparently people set them on fire to get rid of pests, and apparently just the outer fluff burns. I wouldn't recommend it because it's a beautiful specimen.
We're like, oh no.
But apparently that's a thing that some people do.
Yeah,
I'm not recommending, but as I say,
watch those videos. I should find them. Yeah.
they're gonna be in your algorithm. That's the
Yes.
trouble. So yeah, in here we've got lots of different species, lots of euphorbias, as you say. Any other highlights? The Calico.
Yes.
I never know how. I've been wondering how to pronounce.
We have
this
been having this conversation all day.
I think this is the main conversation we'll be having this week: is how you pronounce.
I used to say Kalanchoe, and then I thought that sounds really silly.
Yes.
I think that's more of a kind of old school because I'm old. But now it's Calico, maybe.
Yes. Calanco.
And this is another really tactile plant with those lovely. Is it called felt bush? Is that one of its common
that's
names?
exactly the one. Yeah. So there's like loads of different shapes, but they're actually like the same species. So that one behind is still the same plant, but they're just a slightly different form.
Yeah.
But yeah, really tactile. They just have this like lovely like silvery blue color. Just always looks really nice with the pink.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning in here.
Thank
I'm
you
so
so much.
impressed. And I hope it's going to persuade more people to give cactus a try.
Yes.
Mostly in a dark corner, please.
Yes, please.
I mean, any other tips? If you just maybe get a grow light, I guess that's the thing to say.
A grow light is
grow
always
light's
quite
always
good.
good.
We have a couple in here, and we do have them in the shops as well. In the really dark corners, like we do have grow lights. But we would always just say, if in doubt, wait a few more days to water it if you're not sure.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, most people are chronic overwaterers.
Exactly.
I'm a chronic underwaterer.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
I have killed succulents by not watering them enough. So
Me too.
But I know I'm not normal. So
I just think like if they can't survive with the way that I care for them, like maybe we're not meant to be together.
That's absolutely right. I totally agree.
They can go such a long time without water, such a long time. I'm always so surprised, like when I start watering my collection, like in spring, summertime, and they've just literally gone like 6 months, some of them without any water, and they're okay.
But also, you can always, once you have them for a long time, you can always sort of tell, they'll pucker, the leaves will pucker slightly, or they'll just look a bit dehydrated. I'm always telling people to just actually look at the plant itself, and it will give you signs that it's saying, like, please give me some water.
They will let you know.
If I'm thinning, I'm sort of thirsty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're just incredible, and we must salute them. And I'm really hoping you get some people who are totally converted by coming
Yes,
here.
yeah, I
really
hope so too.
We have already had like some people come earlier saying that they never really liked succulents before, but they really like this display.
Great. And any celebs you're looking out for? Any cactus loving celebs?
Apparently Joanna Lumley is
going to be here, so we're excited to see her.
Last year, yeah, she's really nice. I hope she likes cacti.
Yes, I know. I think we're going to try and aim to convert a few celebrities into the cacti loving game. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's the way forward. And as we know, once you've started,
yes, that's the thing.
It. Yeah, you end up with quite a lot.
Yeah,
from experience.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a beautiful display. I could just sit in here all day, but I've got to go and do other things. Unfortunately, I'm sorry
There's
about
so much
that.
to see.
You're always welcome to come back in anytime.
I will come back, but and you've got this little grove of trees to be in, which is actually quite a nice.
It's so nice
position to be in. I imagine even when it's really busy tomorrow, you can kind of slightly retreat.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
Yeah, Joanna Lumley is an absolute goddess in my eyes, and I managed to interview her at the Chelsea Flower Show briefly last year, which was definitely a career highlight. But we need to get on with our third Houseplant Studio, and this one comes in bold Technicolor. It's the Heliotropic Carousel.
So my name is John, and I run a houseplant shop in Brighton called Hugo and Green.
We're inside your wonderful, brightly coloured, gloriously optimistic houseplant interior. Tell me more.
Well, it's inspired by joy. I wanted to create a space that was joyful, because for me, plant care and being around plants is a joyful experience. And when we started looking at building shapes and exploring which one we were going to use, we discovered that the Victorian summer houses used to rotate towards the sunlight, and they were this sort of shape. We couldn't do it with the building, unfortunately. But that concept of heliotropism, then from a building to a plant to a human being, choosing a positive path, choosing a joyful path, turning towards the sunlight, which leads you through the color palette of yellow, which is my happy color, and all these glorious plants. Few heliotropic, phototropic plants in here, but just really lots of rotation and joy. Yeah,
and
optimism.
Don't we need joy and optimism right now in the world? And that's what we look to houseplants for. And it's really nice to see. I mean, if I see something that says muted tones, I know I'm going to be like, questionable. But I love the colours because we've got great colours here. And you've not been afraid with the different colours that you've used here. Can you talk about some of the key plants you've got here? I guess my eye is immediately driven to that croton or Budeum, which is really giving you some colour. But are there any particular favourites of yours?
Do you know what? It's a classic, but the Oxalis triangularis. I mean, that colour, especially with the other palettes, it's a plant that everybody's tried to grow, everybody loves, everybody responds to when they see it in our shop. So then using it in an indoor space or an outdoor space, it's just something that's very versatile. And anthuriums seem to be making a bit of a comeback.
Yes, with those beautiful flamingo flowers. I mean, what's not to like? And they last such a long time as well.
They do, and relatively low care. Yeah. They don't mind drying out if you're forgetful. We've put a lot of them in water, so they're growing hydroponically, which for those people who are always thinking they can't get watering right, you can literally look at the glass and say, we're good.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think they are one of the easiest flowering plants. And I would say probably you're going to get the flowers lasting as long as a moth orchid, maybe. They really are giving good value for money. Have you ever tried eating the leaves of the Oxalis? That's a trip. Yeah, that's a bit of joy right there.
Yeah,
when you get that lemony flavour, it's incredible.
Yeah, every time when we were building, every time I pulled a leaf off, I was like, oh. So as I'm pruning the leaf that's not quite in shape, they're coming off. We might make a salad later in the week. Apparently it's good in a cocktail as well, so that's also something to bear in mind.
That is lovely. And you've got somebody doing some painting here. Tell me about that.
We have. Well, this space needs, on a functional level, needs to be somewhere that an imagined family could use. So it's a space to socialise. We're sat in the chairs, and also somewhere to work. And I thought, rather than having a computer on a desk, which is the very obvious workspace, my lovely friend Emma is an artist, so this is work for her. So she's live painting here and just drawing from the energy of the room and the show and creating something wonderful, no doubt.
And is there anything in particular, of any particular plants here that people are coming into your shop and asking for, or that are particularly in demand, or that you want people to start asking for, that you think are underrated, other than those anthuriums?
Well, underrated is an interesting one. I haven't gone for anything too terribly exotic, because always exploring the rare and unusual it's not for everybody, and we want to appeal to a broader spectrum of people that are coming here. But the one, interestingly, something that you'll see a lot at Chelsea is Tillandsia, Spanish moss. It's used to fill holes and plug gaps and drape from here, there and everywhere, and florists use it. It's all over the place. But people will come into the shop and go, I've never seen this before. What is it? And it's a wonderful plant to add a really different sort of contrast texture and colour. And it's rootless. Yeah. And actually not that difficult to look after.
No soil can be a good thing.
It can be a good thing when it comes to pests.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And have you enjoyed your Chelsea experience so far?
Yeah.
You know, it's a great opportunity to spread the word about houseplants, because I think, although because we're both in the houseplant world, we think that everybody knows everything already. Yeah. But actually, when you come to a show like this, and there's lots of people who are very, very new on their houseplant journey, it makes you realise that actually there's so much more room for people to learn about houseplants.
And I'll throw back to last year. We looked at blue star ferns. Everybody we spoke to had tried to keep one in the wrong conditions. And we were just introducing this is how you look after it.
So give me your blue star fern potted.
Oh,
story,
lots of
I
light.
missed that last year.
Lots of light. They'll cope in full sunlight and let them dry out before you water them. But people will automatically go, it's a fern, shady and damp. And a lot of advice given about blue star ferns is, it's a fern, shady and damp. And that is the opposite. They want sunshine, and they do so well, and they get huge, and they're really rewarding with very minimal care. So that was a really interesting thing. So I think having those conversations about the anthuriums this year and the tillandsia and the oxalis, commonly seen things, but like you say, not to everybody, and just getting those basics right. It's a confidence grower to then exploring the more exotic.
I have to say, I'm very much loving the rotating ponytail palm behind you. It's a really decent sized specimen with beautiful leaves.
Yeah.
That is a real stunner. And having that rotating thing, I do have a couple of Lazy Susans at home that I have plants on for a non-motorized version of this, where you can spin things around. It's actually such a good idea, and great for light as well. They're getting even light for sure.
Even light. I mean, this guy's going to do great regardless. The automated rotator is very much for spectacle at Chelsea. You can turn it on and off. But under a grow light, when you've got a mixture of plants here, they're getting an even burst all day long. So we're going to get a lot of even upward growth rather than everybody stretching for the window. Grow lights make a big difference for that as well, don't they? You know, brightening up a dark corner and getting even growth through the winter.
Yeah, exactly. Just got to get them on a timer. That's the thing I think people go wrong with. They think, I'm just going to switch it on, and then you forget. Whereas just a timer, just to me, makes such a difference, because my brain isn't going to remember to switch it on and off.
Yeah.
How did you choose this very particular shade of yellow? What was did you just kind of find the most egg yolky,
It's my happy colour. Most shade of yellows. And funnily enough, I couldn't get the yellow that I wanted because they couldn't mix the paint. So it was a last minute, we can't do that yellow. What yellow do you want? And I found this and I went, oh, actually, and it works. I'm happier with this than my original choice. It works with the oranges, the blues, and all the foliage. It really lifts. I used to get on the Circle line when I lived in London. And if it was the yellow, handrails, I was always happy in the morning. Yeah. If it was a Bakerloo line or a District line, it would make me unhappy because I didn't like the colour.
Colour has an amazing power over us, doesn't it? So it's important to think about that when you're thinking about plant combinations. Yeah. And I think there was a period where we went through everything being white, and then a period where everything was kind of, terracotta coloured. But I'm hoping that we're entering our yellow period.
Yeah. Why not?
Inspired by you.
Why not? Oh, hopefully. But people can be it's scary to use colour in interior. It's really daunting, but it doesn't have to be garish. I think it's tasteful. I think the colours work really well together. It doesn't have to be, and you can see it on people's faces. Some people just do not respond to too much colour, and that's fine. But you've got a simple selection, but they're all colours that exist in nature too.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful display. So congratulations for your work, and I hope you get the gold medal that you are seeking to match.
Who knows?
Your structure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only colour you should be allowed, really.
Well, I hope so. I mean, bronze would look all right with it too. I'm happy either way. We're going to have a wonderful week, but gold would be lovely.
And last but not least, The Composer's Cabin, the work of Martha Krempel, who has been on the podcast before. Martha featured in episode 97 when I visited her house in London and encountered her wonderful and huge candelabra plant, Euphorbia inganes, known as Pablo. This time the focus is a little different. I'll let Martha explain.
Hello, I'm Martha Krempel, and I am standing in front of my garden, which is called The Composer's Cabin, and it is set in a landscape inspired by far west Cornwall, where you have three very distinctive types of landscape. So you have moorland landscape, which is very wild, and then you have bogland landscape, which we have a little bog over there. We've recreated a bog in the corner of the garden, and this is like a microscopic world. And then a few miles away from the moorland in West Cornwall, you have really deep valleys with lush tropical planting and some huge public gardens where the public can visit. And those gardens are absolutely packed full with tetrapanax, farfugium, regersias, and quite a lot of plants which really the plant hunters of the 18th century brought back and having created these incredible environments. So my garden is a marriage of all those kind of elements. And my message of the garden is really the power of peatland and why we need to re-wet it, and the power of moorland, what that gives us, and also piano playing and how it brings people together.
Fantastic. And I'm guessing that maybe the peat bog area of your garden was the hardest thing to get right, because I think we tend to pass by this wonderful environment, but it is a very complex ecosystem and a very important one. Sell a peatland to somebody who doesn't know what's important.
I'll tell you. So with our peatland, yes, our peat bog, it was really important to get it right, and it was brilliantly. I worked brilliantly with Sean Higgs in the most collaborative way possible, and Beader Moss. And what we did is we created a small depression. We filled the depression in the landscape, because this is a built-up garden. We can't dig here because of the tree roots. We filled it with Sean Higgs' very special mix of growing medium, which obviously has no peat because he's a peat-free advocate. And he's been developing this soil with the RHS for about 6 years now. He's Sean Higgs from Flora Live. And so we filled that with his special growing medium. And then it's layered over with sphagnum moss, Erica tetralix, and we've got some really beautiful little cotton grass in there supplied by Beader Moss. And it was difficult to get right. I've got some very prickly gorse bushes in there. We can walk over there if you like.
Yeah, let's head over.
And there is one gorse flower, I think. Maybe it's going to flower later, who knows. We got some Bletchland spicant ferns, and we've got obviously the common foxglove, Digitalis purpurea, and some really nice ferns over there. And so the public don't fall in it, we've had to edge it a little bit with boulders, just to let them know it's theirs. You can walk here, but this is a whole ecosystem which cannot be disturbed. And then we have the Crataegus monogyna over there. Originally that tree would normally have been quite close to the bog, but for the purpose of Chelsea we needed to kind of push it back so it wasn't blocking the view. But anyway, I'm very happy with the result.
And we've got some wonderful piano music oozing out of
Let's go in and hear it. This is a Steinway ambassador, Bridget.
Oh, wow.
She is genius level. There.
Talk us through the interior here.
So what we've got is this is the composer's cabin interior, and it's deliberately planted with a lot of space for people to move around, and also for our composer to move around, think, take a break from playing, to watering the plants, taking care of them. And it's deliberately symmetrical, and it goes with the sort of mathematical music brain. It's quite harmonious. The sound in here is pretty good. I'm so pleased. That was not necessarily a given, but it's worked out well. And we've lit it so that the lights are shining on the plants on the back of the wall. We've got Senecio blue pickle there and a whole variety of things in here. But one of the interesting things is this little impatiens, which I bought from Pan Global Codes. So typically that would be a plant that you'd have mostly outside, but I brought it in. And then over here, what I've done is I've got a farfugium planted indoors, which normally you'd have outdoors, but I'm trying to blend the outdoors with the indoors and blur the boundaries so that this kind of dissolves, and you've got plants that live there and plants that can live here. And then we've got some layering going on. We've got a philodendron climber over here, and then we've got another philodendron there, a monstera, quite easy to maintain plants actually. And then that's a climbing fig we've got going up the back wall there. And the idea is just to keep it really quite simple so that the public can move around the garden without crashing into things, and of course not crashing into the piano.
And I know that you're not just talking the talk, You're walking the walk because you have a wonderful collection of plants in your home, your own home,
in my garden room,
and in your garden room. So this is not something that you're just coming out with let's plonk a few plants in here, because you have a wonderful collection yourself. Tell me about the beautiful giant, are they cast iron containers that you've got hanging plants in?
So they had to be kind of built into the roof because they're so heavy.
Oh wow.
They're there really to just frame the view of the piano. And we just thought it was I kind of thought, let's just do it so we're having a plant behind and then there in front. So you've got this kind of layering that you'd see in the landscape outside. So very much using the principles of exterior garden design and bringing them into interior planting design. And I hope that translates. And we tried to keep it very simple on the back wall. The back wall has been built along the lines of a kind of 17th century building that I came across, where you've got a horizontal there round about the pianist's shoulder height. So that's another detail that kind of draws your eye to the pianist when they're playing. And it's sort of subtly lit with a couple of spotlights on a few plants just to bring in some light. And a bit later on, we've got some Lumos candles coming, so we can set them up around the pianist and have a concert tonight.
Oh,
an intimate candle concert. So would you like to come back for that?
That sounds lovely. However, I'm going to talk about anthuriums this evening. Oh. I'm already...
so much more exciting than seeing my candles.
I'm already committed, but it sounds wonderful. I look forward to seeing it online.
Yeah, I'll get some photos.
I'm loving the detailing here. You've got this copper drainage pipe. Loving that.
And it goes to a soakaway under the building over there.
Yeah, you can really tell the attention to detail that you've put in here.
Thank you.
Everything looks perfect.
So should I tell you about the Corten? So
I was just looking at these Corten planters.
So they're big hoops with no bottom, and which made them lighter. So moving them around before and during and after the show is kind of paramount there. But the reason I chose Corten was because it's redolent and reminds us of the copper and tin mining industry of Cornwall from the 17th and 18th century, where they were getting iron ore deposits were running down the rivers of Cornwall. So it was that elemental metal, wood and plants.
Well, it looks amazing, Martha.
Thank you.
I hope that you're very proud of what you've achieved, and I'm hoping that you'll get some comments from people who want to hear more about peatland and also the plants inside, obviously.
Well, we've got the people from the Southwest Peatland Partnership coming. We've got an ecologist and an archaeologist, and they're going to talk about what we find in the peat bog. I didn't show you my peat core. Come inside.
Let's have a look at the peat core.
Inside, what we have is we have a core of peat that's been extracted with the permission of the Natural Health England. And that represents about 500 years.
Wow. That really brings it home, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they're going to talk. And so you probably couldn't see it, but with under a microscope, you probably could. And you can see there'll be tiny bits of tree bark from 500 years ago, maybe the odd seed, maybe a bit of an invertebrate, because obviously the peat preserves everything.
Yeah. And this is why we can't be using peat for our houseplants, right? Because
it's also why we need to get active about rewetting peatland, and don't be digging out that peatland and burning it on your fire in the Shetland Isles just because you've done that for hundreds of years.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not really a renewable resource, is it? Let's be fair.
Absolutely not.
And there's lots of technologies and alternatives now that we're
totally
coming up with.
Nobody in their right mind would buy compost with any peat in it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's a stunning. I mean, I'm looking out now. We're looking out the side, and I'm looking at these gorgeous roses. That rose is unreal, and I say that in a good way. I mean,
it's incredible. When I came across them at my grower form plants, I just went, oh my God, what is that rose? And it's called Rosa Purple Splash. And normally I wouldn't be interested in a variegated rose. No. But what it reminded me of, it reminded me of in Cornwall where you see Rosa rugosa. And it's been blasted by the sun. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, if you half close your eyes, it's an impressionist view.
I was going to say, it's giving me impressionist painting.
It is, isn't it?
For sure.
It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, that is so good.
One of my team, Dave, who built the garden, he's got his eye on one of those, so he's having one on another.
Sounds good.
And then round here, another plant that I didn't really know about is Actinidia.
Oh yes,
I mean that's a common plant that a lot of people know, but I didn't know about that. It's the kiwi plant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a variegated leaf with this pink splash in it. I wouldn't normally go for that, but it's just doing something from a distance when there are no flowers, and on a rainy day when it's a bit gloomy, that just pops. Just a lovely little, just an accent of colour which makes you happy. It's kind of lilac-y mauve.
I do hope you enjoyed sitting on my shoulder as I walked around those Houseplant Studios. And as I said before, please do go and check out the show notes at janeperrone.com to see images of the gardens we've talked about and also some of the key plants mentioned. And my Instagram at j.l.perrone will also have footage of these very same gardens. You may also have picked up a mention of anthuriums. Now, this is exciting. In an upcoming episode, I will be talking to the one, the only Doc Block. Anthurium breeder extraordinaire, tropical plant grower extraordinaire. I got the chance to sit down with the Doc and talk about many different fascinating planty topics. So that's coming up in an episode soon. But that's all for this week's show. So I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye! The music you heard in this episode was Whistle by Benjamin Banger and The Road We Used to Travel When We Were Kids by Komiku. Tracks are licensed under Creative Commons. Visit the show notes for details.